What I have here is 8 random questions. You pick 3 numbers, and then whatever question they correspond to, that's where we start.
Okay, got it. I'm gonna go with 8.
Oh, this is a fun one. Everyday things. I want to know the seemingly simple everyday thing that human beings do that is most difficult to replicate on set as an actor. So I always give the example like fake sneezing or fake waking up.
You know what it is fake sleeping because you end up falling asleep. So that's the hardest because you have to try and stay awake when you're on like a hot set and you're just dozing off.
Nice little nap though. Sounds
sometimes, and then you have to like wake up and you're like, wait, did I just sleep a day? And no, you're actually just on set.
I very much understand that. All right, so we got an 8. What is your second number?
I'll go with 1.
This is one of my favorites too. So my favorite movie of all time is Jurassic Park.
Is it actually?
Oh, truly, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I am obsessed. I've got my Jurassic tattoo.
Oh my gosh.
Pins that I can count.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I am obsessed.
Okay.
My other obsession though is Scream, and that's what you've just picked. The only question I could be asking if the topic is Scream is, what's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, what's my favorite scary movie? I have so many because I'm such a big horror fan.
I'd like to hear.
But a recent movie that I watched that was amazing as a scary movie, just like setting the tone for like how I think more horror movies should be made now, is the new movie Presence.
So good, Steven Soderbergh.
So good. It like shocked me how good it was actually. Yeah. And like you don't see a lot of new horror movies that aren't your like slasher, gory, like run for your life horror movie. It was like so suspenseful and like, yeah, it was super cool.
This is one of the most unique spins on a ghost story I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was incredible.
So impactful.
So great. I loved that.
A+ answer right
Thank
there.
You.
All right, you got one more pick. Last number.
Okay, I'll go with 4.
Number 4. Oh, actually, I love this one too. This is just favorite scene. I want to know your single favorite scene from any Jurassic movie.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think it has to be the what's it called? Where everyone is in the control rooms and they're realizing that all the systems are shutting down. And Sam Jackson just goes, hold on to your butts.
Do you know what my Jurassic tattoo is?
It does not say hold
Sam Jackson wrote down, hold on to your butts. I took that piece of paper to a tattoo parlor and I got right there.
He wrote it down?
Yeah.
Shut up.
No,
oh my God, you're an icon.
I cherish it.
That is amazing.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back for a new edition of Collider Ladies Night. It's a Jurassic edition. So I'm very excited right now to welcome Luna Blaise to the show. Hello. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I want to know the movie you saw, the performance you saw, a personal experience you had, whatever it may be, that first made you say to yourself, I absolutely have to be an actor.
Ooh, I think, okay, I mean, obviously it's a controversy because of just the factual info that we know that happened on this set, but I think in an outer world looking into cinema, I have to say The Wizard of Oz, because like genuinely when I was a little girl, I think I couldn't even tell you how many times I watched The Wizard of Oz, and mentally stepping into a world that doesn't actually exist and forgetting about everything else is everything that movie is. And it just stands the test of time. Every single time you watch it, you're just like, first of all, for how long ago this was, how did this happen? Like that. And then, you see just young Judy and she's just like heavenly and so sweet. And like, I think that like, as a young girl, I was like, unfortunately, I was like, I want to do what she's doing. But, but given the absolute just like fantastical satisfaction for like me as like a young girl just watching that, I was like, that's what that's what I want to be. Whatever she's doing, that's what I want to do. If I can go play with the lions, tigers, and bears, and like, I'm down. Let's do it.
Your movie magic. That was such a beautiful example. I feel like my answer to that would be Jurassic.
Yeah.
Would be being in awe of the fact that movie magic can bring dinosaurs to life on screen in a way that made me think that they were real.
Exactly. 100%. That's what it's all about.
Truly incredible. Before I take a step too far into your acting journey, I was doing a little research, and I was reading that initially you were very focused on dance. And I had a couple questions about that. This first question, the answer might be no, but I am curious. Is there anything about, I guess, the art of dance and how you practice it that you found coming in handy when you started to focus on acting?
Oh my gosh, 100%. The discipline, 100%. I studied for 14 years as a Russian ballet dancer. So the discipline of knowing your mark, of knowing where you need to put a hand when you need to put a hand, it trained me for the discipline of being on a set. And so, and just to handle yourself with grace, that's number one, don't freak out, know your marks, know your timing, know what you're there to do. And, it's the same thing. You have to know your lines, you have to know your positions. It's like, it goes hand in hand. So being able to have my dance training definitely bled into the acting career for sure, and just making that seamless.
I could totally see that. So now taking it a step further, do you remember the exact moment where I guess you and your family, because you were very young at the time, basically stopped and said, dance was great, but we are recognizing that acting needs to be the number one priority?
Yeah, it was during Fresh Off the Boat when that shift happened. I had booked Fresh Off the Boat as just a day player, and I was a dancer. I had booked it as a dancer. That's why I ended up booking that show. And then it turned into not a day player role, and I started coming back every episode. But it just got down to the point where, I was leaving 20th Century Fox, and I was still driving to my 8 hours of dance class afterward. And, and school on top of that. So it just was juggling everything. And I was just so passionate about acting and actually somehow making an income from it as a young girl. But that wasn't even anything important to me. I just was so excited doing it. And that it was, I tried my hardest to continue doing dancing professionally, but it just got to the point where I couldn't juggle it all at once, and acting just took the wheel.
Well, I have so many follow-up questions. This is the first one that popped into my mind. Do you remember the very first thing you maybe did on that show, or really anything, that I guess kind of gave you confidence in your craft? Something you did on set that just clicked and made you know to your core, I have to keep chasing that feeling as an actor?
Ooh, I mean, honestly, I think it clicked just the first day that I had on set, being there, filming. It just was, I was surrounded by, just these amazing, incredible actors. It was Randall Park and Constance Wu, Ray Weiss, Chelsea Crisp, and then you have Jake Kasdan, who directed our first episode. So it was just everyone there, where I, at the time, was 12 or 11. But with the dance thing, I was okay, well, I'm going to show up, I'm going to know what I have to do, and I'm going to leave. But for me, when I got there, it was way more satisfactory, because I got praise for doing it. I would get clapped out every single time I did a scene, and I would get notes about this, and I would get oh my gosh, you're doing perfect, and this is amazing, how about we try it this way? And notes are the best part about it, because that means you're doing a good job. They just want to see it another way. And so when I was getting all these proper things coming my way on set, and just knowing that I was doing a good job, I was I think I can do this a little bit. If other people think I can do this, then I should think that I could do this. And then it just continued that train. I just was oh, okay, I think this is what I want to do.
To bridge the gap a little from Fresh Off the Boat to Manifest now, is there anything about the Fresh Off the Boat on-set environment that I guess you really appreciated, and when Manifest came your way, it kind of signaled to you like, that is a group of people and an on-set environment where I could feel safe in and thrive in?
Yeah, I guess it was just, you know, it definitely the same, because it, you know, when you're surrounded by people that are so incredible at their jobs and everyone is just such a family unit. And, you know, when you're working on like an ensemble cast every day for years, it's, you of course you become a family. And so I felt so blessed doing Fresh Off the Boat, because I was like, oh my gosh, what if I never get this again? This is incredible. And then going straight to Manifest and being like, oh, now I get this? Oh my gosh, I'm like the luckiest girl in the world. So definitely 100% similarities. I think with Manifest, it became much more of a family unit in my mind, because it just was like, I was literally with these people every day as a series regular from like 16 to 22. Like that was just my life. And so it was, those are times and memories I'll literally never forget. But, you know, being so blessed to have that family unit on set, it's first of all, very rare. And, you know, it carries on even to Jurassic. You know, it's like, it's the same thing. You know, we are just so blessed that we had no drama. There was no flaws in anybody. It was just happy vibes. And, you know, we just kept pushing, and we had each other. And that's just the most important thing on a film set.
Oh, I'm obsessed with filmmaking families. I definitely will be asking about that as it pertains to Rebirth. I'm also a very big nerd for acting techniques, so I do want to squeeze in a quick question about that, especially because you've just name dropped so many wonderful people that you've gotten the opportunity to work with. Big two-part question. Of all the co-stars you've ever had, can you name someone who has a very similar approach to the work, where like the second you met them, you're like, we're in sync, like immediately?
Ooh. I mean, I've had the amazing opportunity to work with, I really want to say, so many actors that, you know, that are like that. You know, I'm definitely Josh Dallas, who I did Manifest with. He is like a one of one kind of talent. I think that where he gets a lot of his, I mean, he's just a talented person, but he's a theater trained actor. So, you know, he comes prepared. He comes ready to slay the day away. I miss him so much. I would kill to work with him again on a set. Oh my gosh. But, you know, it's the same with everyone that I shot Jurassic with. Definitely. Scarlett, like, comes to set knowing what to do, knowing what everybody else has to do, which is the most important part, because not only just knowing what you have to do, but knowing what other people have to do as well. That's like the number one key. Oh, yeah, which actually I've taken with myself now as well. Like I would be sort of like, I'd sort of be like the teacher's pet on Jurassic sometimes, because I would be like, me and Manuel, I'd be like, well, no, you're not saying that, and you have to go over there and do that at this time. So I don't know. But that is a quality where I learned from other people, where it's like when I read the script, I know what other people are doing. I know what their directions are. And like, it just gets the day going quicker, you know?
Oh, I love that. So now the back half of that question. So they were people that you were immediately in sync with. And I also love the fact that there's like endless acting techniques out there, and you can learn something new every single step of the way in that respect. So can you name someone that you've worked with where, you know, maybe they challenged you, and maybe they challenged you to adapt and try something new and for the better?
You know, actually, I right when I ended Jurassic, I filmed a small indie project for my friend Kevin Lombardo. And that was something I'd never done before, because practically, you know, we had like a guideline of like lines that we had to read, but everything was like, okay, well, here's your guideline, but now throw that out the window and just do improv and enjoy the chemistry that you have with one another, with my scene partner, and just know that like you have what you have, but throw that all away and now just like have fun and play. And, you know, when you're on like massive productions like this, and, you know, especially television shows as well, you don't really get that freedom a lot of the time. So being able to do something like that was just like so fun and so like enjoyable to be able to just like play and, you know, throw everything away.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds so incredibly like creatively fulfilling and exciting for someone talented like you. It would give me so much anxiety. I can't even.
It is a little anxiety inducing for sure. Cause you're like, wait, do I even know how to do this? But then it's like, okay, well, this is what we do. So let's try.
Oh, you very much know what you're doing. And I'm going to get into how well you knew what you were doing on Jurassic by starting at the very, very beginning. I want to ask about the audition process. What is something unique about doing an audition for a Jurassic movie? Something that maybe they're looking for that signals you are not only good for your character, but you could work in the way one must when you're doing a big dinosaur-heavy blockbuster movie like this.
I mean, I think the auditioning process of it all is, you know, obviously you get dummy sides to begin with. So you don't even know what's happening at all. It's like the most random lines on the planet. But nonetheless, you're like, okay, well, I'm auditioning for Jurassic, so I know the tone, like I know the cadence of what I have to do, and like I mean, I don't know. It's such also it's just such like it's kind of like an out of body experience as well, because you're like, I'm the one that's getting this opportunity. Like, this is insane. Like, so just auditioning to begin with is just an amazing opportunity to even be in question, and then to be able to actually get the opportunity is, you know, 10 times greater. So I think, I don't know. It's still like I'm trying to like wake up from that situation. But I also don't want to at all. So yeah.
You're like in the middle of the whirlwind right now. So I very much understand that.
Totally.
So I am also a total nerd for backstory, and I love asking this question. Did you come up with any backstory for your character on your own that maybe we don't see or hear about directly in the movie, but we could just feel you carrying with you and informing your performance?
Yeah, that's actually a really great question. Me and Manuel worked a lot on that, actually, because you know, we sort of dabble in it at the beginning. You know, we're on a boat trip. Our mom's not there. It's like my final year of sort of being around before I go out to college. And, you know, I'm with this guy that's like sort of like protecting me, but also like, why is he there and why is the mom not there? So we had a backstory of just like knowing within ourselves, like, why are we on this trip? Why is our mom not here? What is the, like, not only the danger of like losing our family, but what if everyone was gone and we didn't have any, like, no one that was waiting for us back home? We never went back to them. Like, so we just thought of things like that could really just add the emphasis to the story, which I genuinely do think you see, especially just the stuff with like our mom, knowing that maybe things weren't going so well at home, and like knowing that, you know, this is a rekindling of the father and daughter, you know, trio. So just like sort of things like that, just knowing, you know, I think even like oh wait, is this I don't know. Will this come out after the movie? Have you seen the movie?
I have seen the movie.
Okay.
I've seen the movie
Can I
twice.
talk about
Yeah,
it?
go for
Okay.
it. We'll
Yeah.
put the appropriate spoiler warning.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So I think even like little backstory as well, like, you know, not talked about a lot, but in the beginning when, you know, Mahershala and Scarlett are having that conversation about Mahershala and his wife no longer being together, Amelia, and doing it for their son, they don't really dabble on that, but there is a backstory there that bleeds into our story, where it's like, you know, everyone's sort of backstories that aren't really talked about somehow, because of the work that we did in the film, just with our own selves, like it reads, because it's like, well, we studied on our own and we did our own and build our own backstories, that, you know, the emotion is like coming out of us in a way because we built up that backstory. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. There's many things that impress me about what one must do to be a successful actor, but in particular, one of the things on screen that wows me most is when like someone doesn't say anything, but I can feel the history and the weight of that history in a performance, even though I didn't get to experience that.
Yeah.
It's really something else. Two specific backstory questions that I was very curious about. Can you maybe give me a little bit of a sense of how her relationship with her dad differs from her mom?
Ooh, yeah. Not the same. Not the same. Not as trustworthy, I would say. Because, you know, he's kind of like, I mean, at least the energy that I was bringing into that story was well, I mean, we're here, but why did we get here? And like, why are things not, just as like a teenager in the film, it's like, why are things not going our way? And you should be doing better. And like, I'm the one that feels like I have to step up, which in the movie actually like portrays a lot, because I end up putting my like life on the line to go get this frickin' raft. And like, I end up doing things that, that are sort of like, okay, well, I'm going to be the captain of this ship now, especially, well, and I think that's also a very nice sort of nod to backstory as well is, when Audrina like falls off the ship at the or not falls off, but is hanging off the ship, and Manuel ends up hurting his leg, he can't walk for like half of the movie. So that's what leads me to sort of like be the leader and like be the person that's going to be like, okay, well, like I'm the one that's going to have to do this, which I think also maybe I'm trying to like earn respect from my dad in a way by doing that. So it's like, it's sort of that like battle and like back and forth thing of just like, well, I want to impress you, but like I still don't like you, and I want you to impress me, but not too much. And like, it's, it's just like that teenage angst. But yeah, it was so fun, like building that with Manuel.
Her sense of fight is really something else. And
Yeah.
to hear a little bit about where parts of it came from, it's like another thing I can feel while watching the movie. The other backstory question that I had that was something a little more specific is, can you share anything about how Teresa met Xavier, and maybe also the specific moment, because there was this line where her dad says to her, he's hard to like, and then she says like, yeah, it took me a minute too, like when that moment was.
I mean, I think that you can just tell that Xavier is just a goofball, and he's just, he's taken life very easily. He's just, he's waltzing through, and he's just, that's just Xavier, you can either love him or you hate him. And I think, I think that there's, in the beginning, with him and the dad, it's sort of just like, oh my gosh, this battle between the two of them, just like these guy on guy energy sort of thing. But the thing is Xavier, he's like, this is just me. Like, I'm not trying to put on a front. Like, this is just who I am. And I think that at least this is what me and David has spoke about, is I think that's what got Teresa to end up liking him in the end, was that he is just that carefree energy, because maybe she's not that, maybe she's a lot more timid, and like he brings that side out of her. And, and I think that is also a very nice, like, parallel, is the fact that he is such a goofball, but in the end he ends up like being a captain of our ship. And even in the beginning, he's like, he goes and saves my life, and like he does, so is he there is that parallel throughout the entire movie of like, he's a goofball, but he's also, an amazing partner for this girl, so it's that. But me and David, we talked about, building backgrounds and all that sort of thing. But because it's not really talked about in the movie, it was hard to like pinpoint. But just knowing that, like, he's a goofball, you gotta love him or you hate him. But Teresa loves him for that.
He's so unapologetically himself.
Yeah.
And I can see that being the draw there. And then steps up when he's really needed to. And it's not easy, I feel like, to be able to handle both of those things and make both sides of a character like that feel believable. And he does it so well.
He does, yeah.
So we've kind of name dropped your three primary scene partners during this part of the chat here. I am curious, because the chemistry between the four of you is absolutely vital to the success of at least half of this movie. Do you remember the very first time, either in prep or on set, you looked at the three of them and you're like, we are the perfect group to play this family?
Oh my gosh. I remember meeting, I don't actually remember where I met Audrina. I don't know if it was in the airport on the way to Thailand. I can't remember because she came a little later. But I remember meeting David when I came to do because we prepped in London. And I remember going to the studio and I was doing my first like hair and makeup test. And David was just David. Like, he was just him, like exactly like Xavier, like just excited to be there, ready to conquer, and like And that was that. So I was like, okay, well, you're you. I got that part. I was like, where's the big beast? Where's Manuel? And I just remember he was just, he was sitting there with, all of his like notes and his, highlighting and his preparation and this and that. And I came in just so like carefree and so excited and everything. And I think that was such a good like base point where he was just like, no, like we have to do da 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 da. And then I was like, well, let's just throw all that out the window and have just so much fun, and I think that is really what pushed this along, especially with us four, is that, it was like we could either have so much fun doing this or we could like make this insane, So I think just like meeting them straight off the bat and like just understanding their energies. And honestly, it was sort of like, I always try and like give a good example, but it's a little challenging at times. It's like, maybe it's like college, I guess, in a way, where I never went to college, but I would guess that maybe this is what it's like. It's like at the very beginning, you see all these people around you where you're like, I know for the next like 4 years of my life, I'm going to be with you guys and we're going to go through a journey together that we're never going to forget. The filming of Jurassic felt like that 4 years of my life. It did, like all in 6 months, but in the most amazing way possible. It was like that. It was like, okay, you see all these people and you're like, I am going to create the most amazing thing that I've done in my career thus far, like with all these people. And all I get to do now is just like celebrate it and be excited about it and take it just like step by step, day by day. And at the end of it, we get to hug and say goodbye and let all of the memories and everything else just like sit and resonate with us.
Get that? So that's a perfect comp.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in filmmaking families. And like, again, another reason why I sit in this chair and I admire like your work as actors, but also every single person that contributes to a movie is because like you're not just going there and like getting your work done and leave. Like you give such a big part of like your life and who you are to these things that are going to be on the big screen. And that's something really special that should be recognized.
It's so personal. Like the whole experience is so personal. You have to be like, you have to just like, gosh, I don't know. It's just a very personal, vulnerable sort of experience, especially because it's like, as an actor, it's such a insane. It's just such a funny career as well, because you're sitting there at times, at least for me, I can say like in Thailand, like I'm, hip deep in like a swamp and all of my body is wet and like I'm, drenched in just like moss and like very real moss and, those sort of things. And I'm like sitting there and I have, a boom above me and I have a camera to my right and I have like all these guys in the water next to me with, cameras. And I'm like, what is going on here? I'm like, what are we doing again? And then I'll like snap back into it. I'm like, oh, okay. We're filming a movie. Let's like lock in really quickly. But it is just such an interesting job. It's like, it's so interesting.
It is absolutely fascinating. I'm going to get into some of those specifics in a second. But first, I just have to highlight Gareth. I was talking about this before. I love this franchise. I get really excited, but also nervous when I hear that we're getting a new installment because like my expectations are high and I just want every single movie to be great. The second he was announced as the director of this movie, I'm like, this is going to be good. I have so much trust in him. I have so much faith in him. Can you tell me something specific about the way he operates and runs a set that made you go like, that right there is why he is the perfect person to direct a Jurassic movie?
I think he is such an amazing director. Well, he's such an amazing director, first off, but you have to know, especially for this, because, well, here's the thing. You have a group of actors here that can work off each other. We can help each other in a way, not to direct, but, to guide each other and to play with each other. But Gareth, on the other hand, like, he knows every shot that he wants. he knows every camera angle. He knows where the light is going to come from so that this piece of grass can be lit in a specific way so that it can bounce off of your face. It's like there's so many elements where it's like, you know, for something like this, especially like the original, you're setting up these like amazing sequences that are about the cinematography. It is about the acting, but it's also about the visuals that you're seeing. You know, it's like these, especially shooting on location, like on real locations, you know, it's like you're looking out at, you know, everything that he's trying to capture on a camera lens, you know? So to be able to know your shots that well and to be so like cinematically intelligent in a way to know what exactly you're going to do to keep this train running. It was the same with John Matheson, our DP, like he, like who's just out of this world, you know, like they knew what they were doing the entire time. And that's what a lot of us say as well, where it's like, we were sat there, of course, you know, 4 months into filming, you're like, oh, okay, what's going on, everybody? We're getting a little kooky and what's happening, which is so normal. But, you know, we all had it was just such a breath of fresh air after the first time that we saw it. The finished cut, we were like, no matter how tired, no matter how kooky we felt, every single person, including the number one, which is Gareth, like he knew exactly what he was doing the entire time. No matter if like we were like, what are you doing? He's like, don't worry, you'll see eventually. And that was just the most amazing part about him, because there was just no doubts. Like he just knew exactly what he was meant to do, and he crushed it.
Yeah, he's an ideal leader on a production like this, because I think he has just like such an especially thorough understanding of what every department has to do, and
he's so calm.
How to bring them together.
Such a calm human being. Like he's down to just like break it down and talk about things, and like he's open to ideas and suggestions. He's just such a sweet guy. So sweet.
I'll follow up on that. Can you give me an example of a suggestion you brought to the table and he heard you out? Maybe we can see it in the finished cut.
Ooh, oh my gosh. You know, honestly, like I can't actually even pinpoint just one, because the whole production was such an open conversation. It truly was. Like nothing was set in stone, only except for like very specific scenes. But a lot of it was like, you know, taking that 35 to 40 minutes before rolling on, giving those suggestions and bouncing back and forth ideas and basically being like, well, like, how about we try this instead, because I think that this is going to flow better into the scene, things like that. And I think that I actually cannot pinpoint one, because it was just such an open, honest, like conversation of knowing that like, well, you have your ideas, we have our ideas. How about we just like mesh them together and see what's going to happen? And like, that really was the entire production.
And another quality I love hearing that a director and a set has.
Yeah.
Digging into a couple set pieces now. I guess I'll start with the Mosasaurus and like all of your water scenes for that matter. Here's how I'll get at that. Can you give me maybe one do and one do not for filming water scenes if you were to give those to another actor about to do their very first ones?
Ooh, yes. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess this is a ladies' talk a podcast now.
Let's hear it.
Track your menstrual cycle. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Having a period on a boat is not an enjoyable experience. I can tell you that much. Can tell you that much. It is hot, and we were in Malta, and we were on a moving ship for about 8.5 hours in the day with blazing sun, with not a working toilet and just a trash can. So that's where I was. But thank God for Manuel and David. I am so serious. Those guys, they got to know me so personally and intimately that they're my brothers now. They are my brothers, and it's just like, you know, it's things like that. It's like, you know, also on a boat, like it's such an intense situation, especially because, you know, we're not on a rig. We're on a sailboat in the middle of the sea. working with Mother Nature. It's not up to us. It's up to them. It's up to her. It's that's it. So it's like, know that like, just know what you're like going into. Know that like, it's not an easy process, but it'll be beautiful. But just know that it's not easy, but nor is anything while filming a production. And true. I think just coming down to the actual literal things like, the lady situation it's like, but it's just important things like that. And I'm a big firm believer in just like knowing what's going on while you're filming and just knowing what to do in case anything bad happens. And just honestly being open with your ADs, having people aware of the circumstance that you're in and knowing that, everyone's there to just make your life easier and just to make this as seamless as possible, because boat scenes also are not an easy situation at all, especially if you get seasick and things like that. It's hitting marks and reading lines while on a moving ship going like 15 miles per hour. It's not like the easiest walk in the park. So just know what you're getting yourself into, but also just enjoy it, because it's like sitting back and having conversations like this. You're just like, oh gosh, it was so fun, so crazy. But yeah, I don't even know. It's
all important things to point out. I love times when we can emphasize the fact that like, yes, you are an actor doing that kind of job, but like you're all human beings that go through the same things that everyone who doesn't make movies
so real. That's what I said. It's like the most personal thing in the world, because it's like, my personal life isn't stopping. I'm just adding this insane thing on top of it.
It is so true. I'll go to your next insane scene in the movie that as a book lover, I was so excited to see the raft and river scene. I want to know everything about filming that. But I guess maybe for the T-Rex and getting the raft part, can you kind of walk us through what that looks like for you on set in terms of crossing the river, getting the raft, and how much you're seeing around you?
Ooh, I saw everything. Everything. I can actually say this. Every single thing you see in that sequence was real, minus the T-Rex. Like, everything. We did everything. I was in that swamp. I was in the swamp. I did it multiple times. I remember it. And, I mean, it was so surreal. Like, I remember actually driving to set that day, and I was, we were in Thailand, and it was so hot, and it was just, halfway through the first, 2 months of filming, and I was just like, oh my God. Like, I was looking up, because I'm looking up now, because I'm still, seeing it all. It was like, oh, yeah, we're filming Jurassic now. Like, this is what it's all about. This is what it is, because you get there and you're in untouched territory, which is the number one thing in this movie. The whole thing is untouched. You get to this remote place in Thailand that looks like it's never even had a footprint near it. And you just feel so unbelievably blessed to even be there. And so being, in a swamp and just trugging through this moss that's all the way up to your knee and doing that 100 times and crying on top of it and sweating and, having all of these things. But then at the same time, you're looking everywhere around you and you're just like, oh, this is super special. And this is super real. And it is the number one thing in this movie to me that you can see it. You can see how real it is. There's not, and how amazing that it's all shot on 35 millimeter as well, because you're seeing the film pick up these actual beautiful locations that you can't catch on a green screen. You can't catch in a studio or anything like that with a built set. This is the jungle. This is the water. This is all natural, untouched territory, where these people are going in this movie. And that's what makes it so much more real.
It's such an effective scene too, as far as pacing goes. Like I clocked the first time I saw the movie, just, the camera takes its time following you across, and it speaks to the very real situation you were in with trudging across all of that.
I love it too. It's the one scene in the movie that doesn't have a score, which is really cool. I love that. It was even a detail that was in the script. It was like no music, silence.
It's so effective.
So effective because it brings you, because it's also in a part of the movie as well. It's like sort of in the beginning of middle-y, area in the film. And you're like, you've just been doing all this stuff, and then you're like, oh no. And now this is happening. You're like, okay. But it is such a amazing, piece of silence and this you get it's your T-Rex scene in Jurassic,
You get not only the T-Rex scene, you get the Dilophosaurus scene too.
Yeah,
that's
the
ultimate
2 in
Jurassic
1. Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah. 2 in 1.
I got to wind down with you soon, so I'm going to end with these 2 questions. This one is just a very end question. Can you compare how Teresa feels about dinosaurs when she starts the movie and how maybe those feelings morph by the end of this adventure?
Oh my gosh, for sure. I think that Johnny Bailey says such an amazing line in this movie, and I don't know, I might get it butchered, but it's like we're the 1%. We are the 1%. And at the beginning of this movie, none of these people think they're the 1%. No one does. At the beginning of the movie, we're like, even Bobby Atwater says, he's like, these are our waters now, and he's going to shoot the dino. It's like, these aren't your waters. These weren't your waters to even begin with. So it's like, that's the mentality that everyone's thinking at the beginning of the film, where it's just like, well, we got this because we're humans. At the end of it, that has all gone out the window. And it is like, we are only human. And everything else is so much bigger than us. And you have to remember that, and you have to sit with that, because it's like, and don't touch things that aren't meant to be touched. That's it, truly.
It's what the whole franchise is about.
Yeah.
And, respecting the power once you are kind of face to face with it and figuring out how to best use it.
Respect the higher power. That's the stuff that just doesn't need to be dabbled with. That's it.
Yeah.
Leave it be.
So true. I've learned so many wonderful lessons from this franchise. The one lesson I haven't learned is that if there ever was a real Jurassic Park, I would sign up and go in a heartbeat.
Would you? Oh my gosh. I think honestly for me too. I think I'd go to see. If I didn't have the franchise that is now Jurassic Park, and knowing what could happen in the scary world of it all, I would definitely go.
Oh, okay. Do not blame you. All right, we've hit the last question of Ladies' Night. Every single episode ends with this particular question. So in film and television, we give each other awards, and I think that is super cool. But I find that nobody in this business stops to tell themselves good job as much as they should. So I want to know something you accomplished making Jurassic World Rebirth that you're always going to be able to look back on and say, you know what? I am really proud of what I did right there.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I think I learned the sacredness of being alone. Sitting with yourself in a situation that is unlike any other and processing it the way that you're meant to, and knowing that you wouldn't be there if you weren't ready for the opportunity. And that's that.
What a beautiful answer to that question. I love it. And you deserve the opportunity. You made the most of the opportunity.
You.
I'm just so happy to have another great Jurassic film. I'm going to say congrats on everything you've accomplished on Jurassic World Rebirth and everything coming your way in the future. Hurry up and come back to Ladies' Night soon.
I will. Thank you so much for having me.